Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking for a quiet place where you can filter out the noise and the hustle, this is it. Every week, I invite you to slow down and join me to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can focus on what truly matters most. Are you ready to hit the ground running on the new year? At Simplified, we are too, and we want to help. From now until the end of the year, you can buy one, get one Simplified planner free at emilylay.com. If you've ever wanted to try a weekly planner for meal planning and a daily planner for your schedule, now's your chance. Or buy one for yourself, gift one to a friend, and have a 2023 planning session together. Head over to emilylay.com before our BOGO sale ends on December 31st. Friends, welcome back to the final episode of the New Year's series. It has been such a fun week so far. We've looked back so we can plan ahead. The lazy genius herself, Kendra Adachi, joined me to talk about her mantra called Decide Once, which is definitely going to save your bacon next year. And yesterday, Life in General revealed some of her best organizing hacks. So if you haven't listened to those yet, grab a drink and cue them up after this one. You're going to love them. So we have one more episode for you in 2022. And lately, I've been hearing one word more often than others: balance. I want my life to be balanced this year. I want to be balanced at home, at work, with my loved ones, my friends, my health. I just want balance in all the things. When we say we want balance, I think what we mean is that we want less friction. We want things to feel easier. We want to find some magic combination of time spent doing X thing and Y activity so that maybe we don't feel like crashing into bed at 4 p.m. every day. And friend, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I totally feel you. I feel like finding balance in life is like riding a bike. Sometimes, depending on the situation, you have to shift your weight back and forth to stay up on the bike. Depending on the season, some areas of your life might need more weight and time and attention than others. To be honest, you are shifting your balance on the bike every single day, even if you aren't aware of it. But you know what I don't really pay attention to every day? My spirit. Okay, did you watch Oprah when you were growing up? Do you remember this segment she used to do called Remembering Your Spirit? I do. I remember thinking how nice it was that someone was paying attention to the way I felt inside, and that working on my spirit could help me see and interact with the world in a new way. When I remembered my spirit, when I filled my well, I saw that I had more capacity to be kind and patient with others. I slowed down to notice more beauty, and it gave me more joy. You know, Oprah was really onto something in the late 90s with this segment. She called it remembering your spirit, not just thinking about it, like it's something you already do. Remembering your spirit. That word is active. It's something you have to do with intention because it doesn't automatically just happen. We don't just remember our spirits on a daily basis. I mean, I get it. Who has time to do that on a Tuesday morning when you're trying to rush out the door and make sure everybody's fed and shirts buttoned and the dog went out and has plenty of water? I mean, you put a roast in the slow cooker this morning. Check you out, Betty Crocker, or you're killing it. So, do you know why Oprah dedicated a whole segment to remembering your spirit for years? Do you know why she still writes books about it and hosts thought leaders on her Instagram to talk about it? Because it matters. Your spirit matters because you matter. Caring for yourself in a tender, loving way is some of the greatest work you will ever do for yourself and for the people around you who love you also. Because nurturing your spirit is something that only you can do. And I know. I know what you're thinking. Oh, I don't have time for this. Can I just DoorDash some spirit and call it a day? I wish. I wish there was a delivery app for cultivating a healthy and flourishing spirit because I would give that driver such a good tip. But as much as I wish we could outsource a healthy spirit, I'm afraid we have to spend a bit of our most precious resource to cultivate one. We've got to use some of our time to make sure our souls feel okay. What does that mean anyway? For a soul to feel okay, to feel alive even? Well, that's a tough one. And if you ask me tomorrow, my answer might change. But right now, here's what I think that means. I think a soul that's alive means that it burns with purpose. It has an inkling of why it's here. It glows with joy and love and peace. It's resilient enough that it doesn't go out easily. And like a fire, it needs us to kindle it with more fuel. We have to feed the fire in our souls in order for them to continue to burn. That's a very simple answer for something as complex as a soul, but this is a short podcast, folks. Sometimes we have to work with the limits we have. So, all right, back to Random Tuesday morning. How do we begin to feed our souls on a Random Tuesday? How do we add fuel to the fire on the days we feel the most busy? Does it matter on those days? And the answer is yes, it matters, even on a random busy Tuesday. It matters every single day that your spirit remains healthy and flourishing. Like a garden, in some seasons, it may bloom a little more than others, but you've got to keep working it. You pull weeds, you add fresh water and sunshine. You do these things with faith, knowing that your hard work is going to pay off. Even if it feels like nothing is growing, because one day a little green shoot will poke its way through the soil, and before you know it, a whole garden is blooming. I have a few ways you can remember your spirit, an idea for once a day, once a week, and once a month. This is not a formula, so don't expect an X plus Y equals my spirit is flourishing. These are just practices. Some might say rituals, and I know you guys love a ritual. These are rituals that put grooves in your brain so that it's easier for you to access this kind and loving space for yourself. So here we go. 3 routines to help your spirit flourish this year. Here's something you can do once a day. Go for a walk. Every single day, Emily? Yes, every day. This is a lot easier if you have a dog or you live in Florida like I do, when it's the literal best time to live in Florida. And it's a lot easier if you enjoy exercise in the first place. But I don't know, you guys, just walking, going for a walk, it changes things. I have friends who hike a lot on the weekends, and they have this saying, no one ever leaves the woods mad. And it's so true. They can go into the woods mad. They can snipe and bicker at each other during the hike, but at some point it turns. Is it the nature? Is it the dopamine? Who knows? But by the time they get out of the woods, they feel so much better about the world. And their argument seems silly and trivial and a million miles away. There's something about getting outside the 4 walls of your home or your workplace or wherever that literally shifts your perspective. Your brain can't help it. So even if it's just for 10 minutes, just 10, try to get in a walk. Erin Moon, who is the host of the Bible Binge podcast, she calls them stupid walks, which I think is hilarious. And some days, that is the kind of energy I have about a walk. And on the days I don't want to walk, I pop in an audiobook or a new Spotify playlist to sweeten the deal. Maybe you could pop in a podcast, and it doesn't have to be this one, but just saying, we have like 100 episodes now, so there's a lot to listen to. When you lace up your shoes and get outside or get on the treadmill, you give your eyes a visual cue that you have left the building, or at least the place where you've been ruminating on work or home life or whatever. You give your brain a break from that stress for a minute. Or even if you do have a problem, sometimes a walk is the best way to put your racing thoughts on the back burner so your brain can work on the problem offline, so to speak. Chances are your brain will come up with some sort of solution, one you may never have seen if you'd have stayed inside. No matter if I start the walk happy or mad, you know what? By the end of the walk, I do feel better. And I am not kidding when I say I have had some of my best solutions and ideas come to me while I am moving my feet. Okay, once a week, try to get quiet with your soul for a little while. Yoga, therapy, worship, painting, cooking, meditation. There are many ways we can turn off the screens, shut the door, and get quiet enough so we can hear what's going on inside. This might sound trivial, but I promise you're helping yourself more than you think when you take up one or several of these once-a-week rituals. These are the kinds of rituals where, again, you might not feel like going when you show up, but nearly always you feel better after. You feel recharged, or you have a few more questions to explore when you're done. So give it a try. On the calendar this week, pencil in a quiet, restorative activity, something on a free day. Maybe try it for an hour and see how you feel afterward. If you tried it and you don't feel like it's your thing, try something else on your next free day. You never know when you'll fall in love with your next favorite weekly ritual. And finally, once a month, I want you to go on a date with yourself or someone else, a friend, a loved one, but mostly do it for you. The poet Mary Oliver once asked us a very good question. What will you do with your one wild and precious life? That question makes my breath catch right in my throat. Because in one sentence, she captures how beautiful and rich and miraculous it is that we are all living together on this big, beautiful planet. And it's up to us how we spend our time here. Even if we feel like our days and hours belong to someone else, every single day, we choose how we show up in the world. And if we're not careful, we only stick with our defaults. We keep our heads down and plow forward so much that we forget to look up every once in a while to watch a beautiful sunset with a glass of wine, or make plans to walk with your sister in the local garden while the tulips are blooming. We forget about the dreams we once had to backpack around Europe. We forget that we used to grab drinks with our college bestie after work just because we missed her and wanted to catch up. And there was a lot more margin in our schedules. We forget to play. And the freedom that comes with letting go for just a little while. Letting go of productivity, of expectations, the ones others put on us, the ones we put on ourselves. There was a reason our teachers made us have recess every single day, because we needed it. And I don't think we grow out of that. And guess what? Now you're an adult who can take herself out to do whatever the heck she wants to do. You can have ice cream for dinner. Isn't that amazing? So here is what I want you to do. Once a month, I want you to take yourself on a little date. It could be by yourself or with someone else. But no matter how you choose to do it, no matter how long you choose to do it for, I just need you to carve out at least a few hours from your schedule every month to give yourself some breathing room. Something you can look forward to, even when your calendar looks like a dumpster fire. Because guess what? You need this. It may not feel like the most immediate need, like a line item on your grocery list, but your mental and emotional health are important. They're worth your attention, and they're worth a few hours a month to do something that brings you the lightness and joy that a day on the playground or in the woods or at the pool or wherever used to bring you when you were a kid. This doesn't have to be expensive either. If you have kids who need a sitter, then now's the time to bribe your friends, your mother-in-law, or whoever to watch them. Whatever you need to do to get a few hours to yourself, do it. So what should you do on your date with yourself? Well, I have a couple of ideas. You could take a cooking class, a Bob Ross painting class, a pottery class, or even enroll at the local community college and take a shop class because you've always wanted to know how to build your own furniture. And Ron Swanson makes it sound like so much fun. If you live in a larger city, you could go on an Airbnb experience and treat yourself like you're a tourist. Book a tour of your own backyard, something you'd never think to do in a normal day, like making your own hot chocolate at a local bean-to-bar chocolate shop. You could volunteer at the local community garden or an adult literacy class or join the choir at church. Or maybe it's more of an unstructured solo activity that brings you joy. It could be as simple as taking yourself to Home Goods to stock up on clearance decor from last season. That's the thing about seasons, guys. They always come back again. You could take yourself on a hike in a nearby state park or at the nice walking trail in the city park you haven't tried yet. You could sit down and plan a trip to a place you've never been to before. Even if it feels out of your budget at the moment, there's something hypnotic about planning where you'd like to go and making a plan on how you'd like to sock away a little money every month, just a little, so that you could see the Golden Gate Bridge or the Colosseum or even the Great Pyramids on the back of a camel. Or you could take time to go across town to the good grocery store, the one with all the delicious meats and cheeses and spices that the store close to your house doesn't have. Basically, this is your time to make your heart sing. It's the time to make yourself feel alive and filled with wonder, the way you were when you were a little kid. And if you're bad at whatever you've chosen to do on your date, so what? Lean into it. Lean into the learning, the mistakes. Keep trying if you want to. But if your day doesn't bring you joy, you don't have to do it. Nobody is forcing you into this, and nobody is grading you. There are literally no stakes here. This is all for you, and you're the captain of your own ship. Isn't that great? To feel like you have that kind of agency over your own life, because you do. So this year, I want you to feed your spirit. Because if you want to find balance in your life, it starts with you, and it starts from within. All right, you guys, for the last time in 2022, I'm going to close our time together with a blessing as you get back to your day. This is something I wish for you in the new year. It's an old Irish blessing that may sound a little familiar to you, and it goes like this. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. As always, I like to leave a little tip to help you put what we've talked about today into practice. Here's your task for today and for the coming weeks. Honestly, I'm just going to ask you to start small. For the next few days, I want you to take 10 minutes and walk. Just 10. It doesn't have to be outside because if you live in Minnesota, you do not deserve that right now. So go to the gym or local rec center if you have to and just walk. Keeping the goal small might feel silly, but it's a lot easier to make yourself do something when you feel like you can actually complete it. And if you start small, that also means it's easier to expand that goal when you're ready to take it to the next level. So give it a try. Walk for 10 minutes and see how you feel. Thank you for listening to the Simplified podcast. I hope today's episode helped you remember a few ways you can help nourish your spirit and find balance in the coming year. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast, and you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products that'll help you stay organized in the year ahead. And if you'd like more ways to think about how to nourish your spirit, then I think you'd love my new book called Sure as the Sunrise, 100 Morning Meditations on God's Mercy and Delight. I'll be hosting a little book club on this one in the new year, and I would love for you to come join us. Pick up your copy at your favorite book retailer and check out my social media for more info. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this show. Thank you for telling your friends about it. Thank you for rating and reviewing. The fact that you meet me in this space every week means so much to me, and I love making this show for you. In the coming weeks, I have some big announcements for some new and exciting things we're doing on the podcast next year, so make sure you're all subscribed so you don't miss a thing. I am so grateful for you, and I pray this next year is your best yet. Until next time, friend, thank you for listening. Have a happy new year. Bye.